Welcome to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Shannon Register, and every week we bring you news and information you can use on your next real estate transaction. If you miss any of today's show, you can catch us online at HoustonRealEstateRadio.com. We have lots of videos on there from every past show. So if there's any subjects you want to research, you can always find stuff online. This segment we're combining two different topics for you, talking about contract to close, what happens from contract to close with the title company, and then who works for you. So we're talking a lot today about who works for you. We've talked with realtors and gotten the realtor perspective. Now we're on to title companies. North American Title is a great title company here in the Houston market. I've been working with them for years, and you've actually heard them here on the program before. Martha Shower's been on, and Christy Santalia's been on. So today, Evan Koymarianos is here to talk with me, and we are going to discuss these two topics. And I think it's so important because everyone who closes in Texas, not everyone, but usually most people are going to close at a title company. And Evan, that's a little different than some states. I'm from Georgia, and usually in Georgia, you actually close at an attorney's office.
Exactly right.
So it's a little different if you've never closed here. And we have so many people relocating from other states. Mm-hmm. So they really need to understand, that we use a title company and what the title company's doing. And then who you guys are actually representing is really important.
Now, a title company is just simply a neutral third party. We pretty much take the contract, get it in, we do a search on the property, make sure we have clear title to give to the buyer. So we're looking out for the buyer's interest and the seller's interest.
I think that it's really important that buyers and sellers understand that the money is going into escrow.
Yes.
And nobody is taking that money out unless everybody agrees on it.
Exactly right. We hold everything in escrow, keys, documents, money, everything. So once we actually fund the transaction, then we release everything.
I know sometimes, agents have a favorite title company they like to use,
Yes.
and they want to kind of pull deals to those title companies where they know people and they can call and get things done quickly. But it really is up to the buyers and sellers to choose that title company, and you really want one that's going to look out for the best interest of the transaction, to make sure that the property changes hands completely without any problems.
Exactly.
So that's really important. So let's talk a little bit about the attorney that works for the title company, because you guys have your own in-house attorneys who draw up documents when needed. And people see, on their final statements, their closing statements, that there's a fee for an attorney in some cases. And they may think, well, I didn't have an attorney working for me. How does that work?
The way it works is we have underwriting counsel. Depending on the underwriter that we choose, we have First American, Fidelity, Old Republic, and we actually go out and receive, try and get information from them if we have a problem. Mm-hmm. Now, in order to draw documents, we have our own attorneys that draft them as well, and we charge a fixed fee for the seller and the buyer, whether you're drafting a deed of trust, whatever it is.
And you pass that on to your consumer. So they're really not being represented by the attorney, and that's what they have to understand.
Exactly. You're actually paying the fee to draft the documents, and that's as far as it goes.
This really is important on deals where there's seller financing or owner financing, because all of those loan documents have to be written by the in-house attorney, or generally are written by the in-house attorney.
Exactly right. Typically, the seller picks up that fee. It usually ranges between $250 to $300, and what they rely on is basically the contract, and they have a financing addendum, and we pass that on to the attorneys. They review everything, and from there they draft the note, the deed of trust, sometimes amortization schedules, first payment letter, whatever's required.
Everything that's needed to take care of the loan and get it
exactly
the way it should be, so it's right. Yeah. Because, realtors write it up on forms in the contract what the buyer and seller want, but y'all legalize it, basically.
Yes.
Put it in legalese. All right, so Evan is an escrow officer and a title examiner at North American Title. He's the branch manager of the Woodlands office, and he's been doing this for 15 years, long time in the business, knows a lot about this. So thought he would be a great person to talk about this today, and just really explain what the title company does. So let's take it from contract to close. So when the agent, the realtors agree on everything for their clients, get everything in writing, the clients have signed everything, the contract's executed, they collect the option money and earnest money.
Exactly.
And they get it all to the title company.
Yes.
Somebody gets it all to the title company, regardless of who actually hand delivers it. But it all gets to the title company, the earnest money check and the contract, and then that option money goes on to the seller.
Yes.
So when you have the earnest money and the contract in your hands, what happens first?
Well,
Where does the process start?
Well, we take that, receipt everything in, get the receipted contract out to all the parties. We take that, the contract, submit it to the title plant, and we begin searching the property. And from there, we get the commitment.
And that usually takes 3 or 4 days to get the title commitment?
3 to 4 days to get that back. And once we get that, we ship it out or send it out to the parties. Mm-hmm. And it gives you an idea, like a roadmap of what you need to clear title, whether it's a mortgage, any kind of judgments, liens.
Any issues with that property is going to turn up.
Yes.
And if there's any questions over it, any of it, the escrow officer at the title company can kind of explain that to the client.
Exactly. And we go through, let's say it's a payoff. We have to get with the sellers, get all the information we need, and order that payoff. Mm-hmm. If it's a lien, we have to find out why the lien's in place and what's required to remove it.
And then you get either you get a copy of the survey if there's a survey involved. Mm-hmm. You collect that as well.
Exactly. We insure the property based on the survey. We review that as well. Make sure there are no encroachments. Encroachments being a fence, pool, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then what's kind of the next step in the process? Where do you go from there?
And from there, we, of course, clear title. We get with the lender, get the financing in place, get all our, everything in a row. Then we schedule the closing, sign documents, and we fund the transaction. And kind of a simplified, explanation, but...
Yeah. So you're holding all that money in escrow, and then it funds. And if for some reason it doesn't close and fund, I'm sure sometimes you have buyers or sellers who call and demand to get their money back, huh?
Exactly right. And of course, you have to do the earnest money release, termination of contract, whatever it may be.
And everybody has to agree on that.
Yes.
If they don't agree, you just keep holding the money.
Exactly. Get an attorney.
Until they agree. Whether it be through an attorney or otherwise, they have to figure it out. You don't figure it out. You don't make that decision.
Not at all.
You just hold the money.
Yes. We're a neutral third party. We don't do anything at all.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about the title policy. What is the title policy? What's the reason you get a title policy?
Well, there are two kinds of policies. You have the owner's policy and the loan policy. The loan policy protects the interest of the lender, and the owner's policy protects the buyer's interest. We make sure they have clear title when the transaction's closed, so there are no judgments, liens at all on there.
So let's talk a little bit about people who buy land to build on their own lot or to build on their own land. Okay? Because I think a lot of people do this and they don't think about going back and adjusting their title policy. If you buy a lot, let's say a $60,000 lot, and you then put a house on it, say a $350,000 house on that lot, your title policy only covers the $60,000 lot that you closed on at the title company.
Exactly right.
Once the builder puts that $350,000 house on it, that is not covered under the title insurance unless or until you go back and add it.
Exactly right. But the thing is, let's say it's a $60,000 lot and they purchase a house for $350,000. We have to adjust that owner's policy to make up that difference.
Right. And if they don't, they could be at a loss one day.
Exactly right. Exactly.
So it is important to go back, and I think that a lot of people don't go back and do that. I think that's important that you do go back and get the difference in your title policy. Make sure that you're insured, that you protect your property, and the next person, when you sell the house, the next person, of course, is going to get that. But it's just an issue with you when you build it. You have to go back to the title company and purchase it.
Yes.
Okay, I think that is important. Now, another thing that I want to point out is that when you're under contract on a house, you get a title commitment.
Yes.
You don't actually get the title policy until after closing. Exactly. And y'all mail those out, right?
Exactly. Between 30 to 60 days after the actual closing takes place, we give the loan policy and the owner's policy. We mail those out.
And that's an important thing to keep in a safety deposit box or somewhere. Yes. All right, Evan, we appreciate you coming in. Evan is with North American Title, great title company here in the Houston market. Evan Koymarianos is the Woodlands branch manager. Evan, if people want to learn more about North American Title, how can they find you?
They can go to the website, www.nat.com.
It's an easy website.
Very easy.
NAT.com stands for North American Title. All right, we appreciate you coming in. Great information on taking people from contract to close, on the title company's perspective of what you guys do, and then also helping them to understand who works for them and knowing that the title company is a third party and doesn't have any interest in either particular party, but works as a third party. So we appreciate you coming in and talking
Thank
to
you.
us. All right, if you have any questions, you can always call into the show, or you can go on Twitter and use hashtag HRER, or find us over on Facebook under Houston Real Estate Radio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors here on Houston Real Estate Radio.
People often find themselves in need of storage and moving, but don't want the hassle and stress. Sound familiar? Well, at Zippy Shell, we make storage and moving easy. Zippy Shell will deliver a storage container to your home or business. You load it at your leisure, and we'll take it to one of our safe, convenient storage facilities, or ship it to your final destination. We treat your stuff like it's our stuff, because we understand you're not just giving us your belongings, you're giving us your trust. Zippy Shell. Storage and moving that makes life simple.